My goal is to see if I can make an improvised lure, line, and pole for fishing just out of stuff I'd easily find. This is a milkweed plant. In the outer bark, you can actually strip it off into really fine cording material, so that this would actually might work for a tie something into a fishing hook or improvised fishing hook. Some relatively strong cord. Just kind of strip it down the plant here to get enough of a cord to actually, so you don't scare the fish away, a fine cord. So I tie that into my fishing lure. This is the cording from the milkweed plant that I'll use. So you can see the fibers on this milkweed plant are just below this papery substance on the outer bark. So you want to make your cord as invisible to the fish as possible. So you definitely want to get rid of that papery material. Either just scrape it off with your fingernails or figure out a way to get rid of it. That's going to be your line, and usually you don't get very long stretches of this stuff, not more than about 5 or 6 inches, so that's what you got to work with typically for cord. I'll see if I can get some usable fragments from this chicken bone. I'll just hammer it between 2 rocks here. So go ahead and fasten my chicken bone to my milkweed cord here. Just cinch my knot down. You always want to scale your hook to the size of the fish you're after. So I'm after sunfish. This hook's probably 3/4 of an inch long. So the idea is when the fish bites down, it'll cam into the mouth of the fish. So there we go. Might do one more simple overhand knot on this. We'll do one more knot on this. There we go. The trick with fishing with line and tackle is not to put something so big in the water it scares the fish away. So I'm going to use this grapevine as kind of a intermediary between the my pole. Probably just use a stick, but it's fairly strong. And it does a nice taper down to a really small scale. And I'll just tie my milkweed cording to the very end of this grapevine. And so that'll be basically my fishing line that goes in the water. Then I'll go ahead and attach the other end of my line here from the milkweed cord to my grapevine. Probably could do a couple simple overhand knots here. So there it is, and essentially my fish hook there to my grapevine. I'll go ahead and see if I can hook my worm here with my chicken bone. Get him looped up on this thing. Of course, I'll loop them through a couple times here on the hook. Just once. Sorry about the dirty hands, dirty fingernails. Twice. There's my worm all hooked up on my bone there. I have an assortment of cans that have the pull top loop, and if you cut the loop somewhere up in here, I think that, and then just sharpen it up on a stone, I think you'd have a pretty good fishing hook. And I'll go ahead and just put a point on this cut area. Get a rock with a good texture on it. I can just grind this aluminum point to something that's quite a bit sharper. So there it is, my hook made out of a pull top cannon loop and my milkweed cord tied to it. And I guess you always want to make sure the hook presents upward. So I don't know with the worm on this, if it's, worm will probably have some buoyancy, maybe just a hair, but so more or less this hook presents upward. So I'll go ahead and tie the milkweed cord off to my grapevine, and I'll just run it down to a local lake and see if I can catch some sunfish. So there it is, my improvised fishing pole, improvised fishing line, and then I still have to make the hook out of the loop there from the sardine can, but I'll do that next. So the idea is to go fish with this, see if I can actually catch fish. I think I should be able to. Nothing too scary for the fish. I think it tapers pretty good. Fairly small scale line down towards the hook. Take some pressure here. Nothing super hardy, so if you catch a muskie, probably this thing would fill quite readily.